Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Prime News, and I got some bad news for you folks if you live in France. Amazon France no longer sells Nintendo Switch units, and they are pulling Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and Smash Bros. Off of the site as well. The reason for this is unknown, although it is highly speculated that Nintendo is upset yet again with Amazon because they were selling the Nintendo Switch for 270 euros on, Amazon France. And the problem with that is a significant price drop over the standard selling rate at other online retailers and at local retailers as well. And Nintendo has had issues with Amazon doing this over and over and over again, both in the United States, in the UK, in France, and pretty much the world over. Nintendo does not like that Amazon undercuts all of the competition with their products. Remember, Nintendo sells these products to these retailers, so Nintendo gets the money at the point of sale to put these boxes in the stores. However, they have a suggested MSRP that helps keep competitive balance between the various retailers. And while Nintendo didn't really throw a fuss when Amazon would put discounts behind the Amazon Prime membership, because that required a paid membership to get those discounts, it wasn't available to everyone. Well, the $270 or 270 euro price point, I should say, was available to all consumers. It wasn't just Prime members. And Nintendo, at least reportedly, did not like that, and so they yanked all of the Switch stock and they yanked all of the potential to sell Switch games through Amazon in France at this time. Now, this does not impact anywhere else. This isn't going to impact us here in the United States. However, while this is considered a rumor because we're not 100% sure that this is the exact reasoning, we do know that Nintendo has had a lot of issues with Amazon over the years. Products have been pulled nonstop. Some certain systems weren't even allowed to be sold. 3DS for a while wasn't being sold on the Nintendo US Amazon stuff. So Nintendo's had these issues in the past, and this is how they've responded, so it makes sense that they are responding this way again to try to twist Amazon's arm to sell the products at the suggested MSRP. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I know, obviously, I like when Amazon discounts things. You could buy Breath of the Wild, a brand new copy right now for $45 instead of $59.99 like it is everywhere else. And as it's a game that's over a year old, I appreciate stuff like that. However, they're doing this at a loss to themselves because they already paid for that copy. And the reason Amazon often discounts things like this is to move stock out of their warehouses so they can get other stock in. But it doesn't make a lot of sense necessarily to discount the Switch as much as they are outside of trying to capture mind share. And I think the idea, and I think what Nintendo's assuming here, is they're selling the Switch so cheap to get other people to buy Switch products from Amazon France. So yes, they might take a hit on the sale of the Switch, but if everybody in France goes to buy the Let's Go Pikachu and Smash off of Amazon, they're going to probably make back the losses through an increase in game sales from people trusting them as a retailer because they got their Switch from them. So it's an interesting business strategy, but one that Nintendo just doesn't buy into, and we'll have to wait and see for you folks in France if this ever changes. Again, this has happened in the United States before, and it was rectified over time. We'll see if it gets rectified again. Nintendo just does not like the business practices that Amazon does, and I think a lot of us don't like the business practices Nintendo does by keeping Breath of the Wild at $60 for probably the lifetime of the Switch. So I guess consumers are always the ones that get the crap end of the stick in situations like this. Moving on, it appears that motion controls in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are actually optional, specifically in handheld mode. This is what Nintendo told IGN. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee do not require players to use motion controls or physical gestures when in handheld mode. Instead, players can use the joystick on the left Joy-Con controller to aim and press the A button to throw a Pokeball. The simulated throwing motion associated with the Joy-Con controllers or Pokeball Plus are intended to enhance the gameplay experience, but are not required to play these games. Also, I have learned in addition to this that according to GameXplain, who has had more hands-on time with the games than I have, specifically in handheld mode, that you can't turn motion controls off. So while you could do this, any slight movement of the Switch itself enables the motion control functionality, and that can lead to some issues when you're trying not to use it. I've seen this in other cases with other motion controls that you are optional, but you can't turn the motion off in other games, and it just leads to lots of issues. Hopefully that's something by the time the game comes out is fixed with an option to shut it off in handheld mode entirely, so people could just play with the physical buttons and the joysticks. What I think is also interesting is this is only available in handheld mode and not in docked mode. And while I understand in docked mode they're trying to get you to use that single Joy-Con, they're trying to get the motion controls going and using the Pokeball Plus and all of that, I do think they need to offer these non-motion controls for docked mode as well. And I think if enough of us point out that this is kind of hypocritical to offer it in handheld and not in docked mode, that they could patch it in. Remember, this is a feature that does exist in the game. It's already programmed in and the control options already exist. So all they have to do is go in and enable us to use it in docked mode. And I think that is something that is a reasonable demand, even though I personally are probably going to love the motion controls when it comes to docked mode. I do think having options is always better than not. And so having an option to use a more traditional control style in docked mode and handheld without motion controls involved at all, I think needs to be implemented across the board. So on one hand, I'm glad to hear they actually have a system in place for that. On the other hand, you can't disable the motion controls in handheld, and you can't use this in docked mode. And I think if both of those issues are rectified by the time Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee launch in November, either with a day one patch or whatever, then I think everyone can be kind of happy in this situation. That's not going to make you like Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, but at least if you're not into the motion controls, they might not be a deterrent if they offer you this alternative style to play across the board. And another reason why I think it's important to offer this in docked mode as well is because a lot of people want a unified experience between handheld and on the Switch. They don't want it to feel different. They want to go from playing in handheld to plopping it in the dock and playing it the exact same way they were, except on a bigger screen. And this would enable that to happen if they go that route. So again, Pokemon Company, Game Freak, Nintendo, I implore you, please enable these standardized controls for docked mode as an option. Keep motion on by default, but give us an option in the settings to turn off motion controls for both handheld and TV mode and just use traditional controls. I think I can speak for everyone when I say this would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Moving on, I just want to briefly mention that Dragon Ball FighterZ has officially released on Nintendo Switch today. Now, I don't have a lot to say about this game, despite the fact that I did go hands-on with it at E3, because I'm just not that into fighting games. If it's not Smash Bros, I tend not to care, but I know a lot of our audience do care about this game, so I just want to remind everyone that, hey, look, today's the day. If you've been waiting for Dragon Ball FighterZ, you probably already have it, but if you weren't aware that it was dropping today, well, there you go. It is released today, so please go check that out. And next up, we're talking about FIFA 19 on Switch, and unfortunately, the news doesn't sound very good. Now, most of this information comes from a Nintendo Life review of the product because the review embargo is up. And while it continues to be the best portable FIFA ever, the problem is that it's one of its primary modes, which is Ultimate Team. Apparently, it's essentially the exact same as last year. Here's why that is a problem. Ultimate Team last year in FIFA 18 was extremely stripped down, and they used the barely plausible excuse that new players to FIFA on Switch would be overwhelmed by all the features of Ultimate Mode, which I think, or Ultimate Team, which I think is a little disingenuous to your consumers and already a really terrible excuse, but at least it was an excuse you could argue could exist in passing. Well, it's been a year later, and that excuse really doesn't fly anymore, because you would figure, oh, we're ready for more modes and more features, and all they added in was a friendly play mode that lets you play a set of 5 matches against a friend on your Switch, which, I mean, you could just do that in other modes already, so is that really a feature? To give you an idea of what's missing, this comes directly from Nintendo Life. There is no Division Rivals mode, no squad battles, no weekly FIFA Ultimate Team Champions event, no daily and weekly challenges. And the reason this matters is because it means Ultimate Team did not change at all, and they're charging you $60 for a lesser product than you get on other platforms. We talked about FIFA a little bit last year about how FIFA was a lesser version already, not just Ultimate Team-wise, but overall, because it's not using the current engine. But even if you're not using the current engine and you're not going to include the story modes because it requires the current Frostbite engine or whatever, they could at least include all the modes in Ultimate Team. And what sucks about not including this stuff is that all of these modes create a way for you to earn things in Ultimate Team for free. And without these modes, it makes it next to impossible to advance anywhere in Ultimate Team without spending a significant amount of cash on virtual currency. And that is a problem. Even though I'm not big into Ultimate Teams, in Madden and FIFA and stuff like that, I admit that they are ultimately better overall than what happens in NBA 2K because they offer you enough ways to play the game and get enough rewards for free to advance your team to at least a respectable level of play. You can get enough good players to be respectable if you happen to be good at playing the game. But now, because this stuff wasn't added in, that excuse of we're not ready for that stuff yet is gone. That might have kind of flown last year. This year does not fly at all. So again, FIFA 19 at $60, just like every other version, in one of the most popular modes in the game, has made zero advancements, and that is a very, very sad thing indeed. It shows complete laziness on EA Sports' part, which I don't know if that surprises people, but it's at least disappointing, especially in a mode where they expect people to spend money. You figured you'd want to do right by your consumers so they'd feel better about spending that money instead of the way it is now, where I think people are just going to avoid that mode entirely because it's just too hard to level up naturally through any certain player skill. It's all pay to win now, which that's not good. That's never good. You never want to hear pay to win associated with a gameplay mode. And our last story is an interesting one that thankfully didn't come to fruition, and that is that Masada shed light on the fact that Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue at one point were almost completely wiped off the face of the planet during development due to a computer crash. Now, there's a lot of nitty-gritty details with this, and I'll put a link down to the article below, but I'm just going to kind of give you the short version here. Essentially, after 4 years of development, there was a computer crash, and this computer happened to contain all of the Pokemon data, all of the trainer data, and like 90+% of the code base for Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. And when it crashed, when they turned it back on, it was just not there. The data was gone. And it was feared that they had lost this data forever. And obviously, they eventually did recover it because the games did come out. But it was noted that at this time, if they couldn't recover the data, Pokemon would have been dead. It would have never came out, and we would have no idea. Like, all the complaints about Pokemon, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee Day, it wouldn't matter because we wouldn't have Pokemon at all. It just wouldn't even be a thing. This was halfway through development, by the way. For those who don't know, it took 8 years to make Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. So when you're 4 years into it, to have all your work lost, which could feel like a lifetime of work when you spent 4 years on something, very, very scary. And I think I mentioned this in an upcoming episode of the podcast, but I think the irony here in all of this is that the Pokemon Company literally had a scare in losing all of their data and making that so the Pokemon games wouldn't exist, right? So imagine the scare us consumers have to go through on 3DS and now continued on Switch when we can't back up our save data, where we have to worry about dropping our platform and losing it. And now suddenly all of our progress is gone, which makes us probably not want to pick up and play it all over again. It feels ironic that Pokemon Company knows exactly what that feels like, but they won't give consumers a method to back things up when they clearly, in today's world, are probably backing up their own code base all the time just for such a situation. And I get it. I know all the legit excuses about, oh, we got to worry about Pokemon cloning. We got to worry about this. We got to worry about that. Got to worry about cheating. And I get that. But at some point, users' data is more important than the actual cheating. And what they should do instead is combat cheating rather than just removing a completely useful feature when they themselves almost lost the entire Pokemon franchise to a similar situation. Imagine if your Switch crashes and your save data is corrupt or just not there anymore. It's gone. All your progress is gone. Yeah, maybe you had some Pokemon backed up to the bank, although the bank isn't a backup. It just means the Pokemon aren't in your game. So any of the Pokemon that were in your save file, gone. It just, to me, it's a hot mess, and I think that obviously I've made it very strong that I think that they need to have cloud saves for every game. And the fact that the Pokemon Company went through a situation like this just makes it almost more inexcusable because they know what it feels like and they're putting actual legit consumers through that feeling, intentionally or not, every time they don't allow us to back up our stuff legitimately. And this is probably partially why the hacking scene is still as popular as it is. Basic feature that should just be there to protect us, and it's not. But the hacking community has it, so All right, folks. Anyways, that's going to do it for Prime News, and this will be the last Prime News episode of the week. I want to thank all you guys for tuning into our Friday show, and I want to remind everyone that we are currently doing a giveaway of a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Nintendo Switch bundle. All that's required is that you are subscribed to this channel. There'll be a link to the giveaway down in the description with all the details. It is our 50,000 subscriber giveaway. We're not at 50,000 yet, but we're probably going to get there at some point. Whether it's this year, whether it's next year, I don't know. But when we do, that's when the giveaway ends. There's multiple ways to enter. Watch our videos, blah, 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 blah. I want to thank all you guys for all of your support and for making that, not only that giveaway possible for me to give something back to you, but to make what we do here, make this setup, make this studio, make this camera, this microphone, the lighting, make all of this possible. You guys have made my dreams come true, and hopefully for one of you guys out there, I'll be making your dream come true this holiday or early next year, whenever it is that we hit 50,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you dislike it, hit the dislike button. Subscribe for more content, and I'll catch all of you guys in the next one.
Yes.